What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I am back again with another video. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Rivah. It's very nice to meet you. Before we get into this video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. And as I always say, make sure you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below. It does not matter how you feel about this video. We all want to talk about it. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH_JORDON. And we're going to go ahead and just get right into the video.
As an individual who spent a lot of time studying, analyzing, researching, learning about relationships, what would you say were the early relationship expectations of the early 20th century? So during the 20th century, generally speaking, and let's just go, most people listening are from United States. So United States society, what were the general expectations of a relationship in the early 20th century?
So, expectations, let me put it this way, relationships in the early 20th century were fairly organized around a strict code of conduct that was steeped in religion and in communal structures and social hierarchies. So there was a clear hierarchy vertically in terms of generation, and who is in charge and who needs to be respected and honored. Older people came first. Men came first. Women were the possession of men in many, many ways. Legally, it began to switch, but we are still in a very in an earlier version of the patriarchal structure. So children are deferential to parents, women are deferential to men, and relationships are basically dictated by duty and obligations. It is not about doing what's right for you. It is certainly not about doing what makes you happy. Happiness is in the heavens, and you're going to be rewarded and get some of it if you suffer well on earth. You do the right thing. You don't do the thing that's right for you. That is a fundamental difference. That is a collective structure, So a lot of clarity when it comes to relationships because everybody actually knows what they're supposed to do, but very little freedom. No emphasis on individual expression. What changes?
What a big deal, right? Because especially just the point that she made about it was about doing the right thing, not doing the right thing for you. It wasn't about how you feel, doing what feels right for you. It was about doing just the right thing, the status quo, and that's it. What a different time we live in now. It's a complete opposite. Now it's about doing the right thing for you, not doing the right thing. So that's a huge change.
Is that we develop over a century and a little more, a model where the self and the individual now is in the center. Relationships are steeped in options and free choice, or so we think. We manipulate it in all kinds of ways, but we like to think that we make our own decisions. We have a lot more freedom. We are a lot more alone. We are a lot more uncertain, and we are often crippled with self-doubt because all the big decisions of relationships used to be made for us. What you're going to do, who you're going to marry, where you're going to live. It was all decided. At the beginning of the 20th century, there is no contraception. And so basically, we have multi children family, and family means an extended network. It is much more of a practical, pragmatic institution. It isn't meant to be organized around trust and affection and eros. And the most intimate relationships are not with your partners, they are with your same sex friends. For women, it's powerful friendships with other women, and for men, it's friendships with other men. And we can go on, but this kind of gives us a quick synopsis.
Wow.
Okay. And then, so how would you define the expectations for relationships currently in the 21st century?
Which ones? Sibling, friendships, work, or love?
Let's do love because I feel like that's where most people.
I love how specific she is because that means that she's going to give an answer that's accustomed to each situation, and I think that's important. Like when people don't speak so broad and they kind of hit that head on. I'm not sure who this woman is, but I just already like how she speaks and her knowledge.
Share that's what they struggle with the most, even though it's all 4.
People still want in love what the institution used to give them. The institution of marriage, which was the sanctioned, arrangement, was companionship, economic support, social status, and family life. I would say people still want that structure, that infrastructure of marriage. But now they want love in marriage. Marriage was not about love. If it happened, it was a nice thing. It often happened on the outside, actually.
Wow.
We brought love to marriage. We brought sex to love. We brought marital happiness as connected to sexual satisfaction. We've made all kinds of new connections. So I still want that, but I also want you to be my best friend. And I want you to be my confidant, the person I can tell everybody, everything to. And I want you to be my great lover. And I want you to be my intellectual equal. And I
Wow.
want you to be my co-parent. And as we go into millennial and further down, I want you to be the person that helps me become the best version of myself.
Wow.
And therefore, you're no longer just my partner, you're my soulmate. And that soulmating is the pinnacle of expectations that we bring to modern love, which the Jungian analyst Robert Johnson talks about really beautifully. We want ecstasy, transcendence, wholeness, and meaning from our partner, stuff that we used to look for in the realm of the divine. So the romantic love is the most intense energy system.
Stuff that we used to look for in the divine. And I definitely get those sentiments because women before, they honored their husband, they respected their husband, they served their husbands and their children, they catered to all of them, the whole household, but their love and those expectations were kind of left out of it because they were just so devoted to, their religion and their belief system and their gods. So I think that's super. That's a big point that she just made, that their hearts were um, not so easily hurt, and their hearts were. It's not that their hearts weren't in it. They had their love and their esteem, and everything was in its own situation. For them to take care of, to do, but then that love, that compassion, that longing for was more attached to their religion. That's a huge difference as well, because now they're expecting all of those things, as she said, from that one person. That's a really big difference.
This moment in relationally speaking, everything is packed in to this little group of two that is really a tall order, and especially in the United States, where that little company of two also needs to be a social welfare system of two.
Wow.
No, that is so powerful, and to me, when I first heard you share that idea, I was just like,
Yeah.
like I really believe you encapsulated not just the spirit of the past, but also the spirit of the present, because I truly think that we have a nostalgia of the past, and I see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
Then people will always say, "Well, relationships today weren't like they were back in the day, and we don't have what our grandparents had, and there's this nostalgia, and the nostalgia to me is built on a lot of fantasy." Because as you shared that in the past, what individuals were looking for was someone to fulfill a duty and obligation.
Right.
Right. So that's what going back to work example, if I was an employer and the person I'm hiring is my spouse, I'm hiring someone to fulfill a duty. So if if a woman was hiring a man, she wanted somebody to protect and provide, or if a man was marrying a woman, he wants someone to nurture and support. So that's the things that individuals are looking for. And so that's what they got, that's what they aimed at, and that's what they got, and that's what they were okay with. They weren't looking for, as Esther talked about, love and ecstasy.
Yeah, and then also the fact that in those times, it's not even, the people who were looking for that. A lot of that was like arranged marriages. A lot of people were told who to marry. They just did it to honor their parents and to basically follow the rules. And then they ended up staying with that person, for their lifetime.
And spontaneity and mystery and play and all these
they
things.
They may have looked for it, but elsewhere. See,
yes,
there's always been passion, there's always been creativity, spontaneity, but it didn't take place in this one structure. The fact that you need to be able to contain all of these sometimes opposing human needs.
Right.
The need for stability and the need for spontaneity and change and innovation and risk and adventure, they don't necessarily always take place in the same relationship and with the same person. The same one has to be your safe harbor, but also has to be the one who allows you to. And I want you to be my safe harbor, but I also want you to be the one with whom I can kind of float, far away into the mysterious, undiscovered lands. And it's a challenge. A few people can do it. Eli Finkel, who's a great researcher on marriage, he says the marriages of today, the good marriages, the good partnerships, the good relationships of today are often much better than the relationships of the past. But it's just that not that many people can climb Mount Olympus because the view at the top is phenomenal, but the air is also much thinner and not everyone can reach it.
Wow, powerful.
No,
That's so true. A lot of people look for people who are ready made, right? They look for men look for women who are just, have it all together, just perfect. They don't have to do any work. Vice versa, the woman looks for the man that just has like the money, the this, the that, no work as well. But I agree with that. If you're able to find that magic in somebody, where they kind of give you all of these things, not even just because of the fact that that's exactly what you were looking for, but it just happens. You guys have great chemistry. You understand each other. You guys can easily cooperate with each other. And you're passionate about each other, especially intimately. You have literally the whole everything. It's good to stick with it and, try to make it work, because a lot of people don't even have the opportunity to have such a strong connection with somebody else.
Where you shared that on Lewis Howes' podcast, and that was a fantastic point. And to me, I wonder if you view it this way. I view it like this. I view it like what how can I explain this? What human beings want is a bouquet, right? And the bouquet is symbolic to all the things you described. Maybe the red flower, the red rose is sexual passion. Maybe the yellow rose is friendship. Maybe the purple rose is spontaneity. Maybe the green, the blue rose is mystery. Right? People want a bouquet, and this bouquet is rich with all these different satisfying experiences. But what happens is, like you've said, we want that bouquet from one person. We want one person to provide us all these different roses, where in reality, love and the bouquet is found in all of it. It's found in the work, it's found in the friendship, it's found in the family, it's found in the partners, and there's different things that different people provide you to. But one of the biggest challenges is that, like you've always talked about, by asking one person to provide you with the vast bouquet to satisfy you, instead of being appreciative of the rose, which can symbolize whatever they're offering to you, causes so many problems with men and women today.
That's a huge point. That's a huge point. And obviously, we're not saying that you cannot get the majority of your needs met from your spouse. You're supposed to. That's how, I personally feel you're supposed to have that connection where you can provide a lot of, support, friendship, all of that stuff within, your relationship with just the two of you. However, that is very, very true. I've heard a lot of people say that, like, they might be with a man who is everything that they desired. However, maybe he's not that affectionate, not as, cuddly or huggy, and they're very, very like a person that loves to hug and stuff like that. And then they said, like, what? He gave me my child who is like that. They might end up having a daughter who is super huggy and, gives them that. And they're okay. Sometimes it's possible that you can have somebody who can fulfill everything. It's very, very possible. However, if you have a great deal of, your top things that you don't want to compromise in your spouse, but maybe, they don't want to hang out with you to go, I don't know, just as a woman, maybe to go get your nails done or whatever. That's what you do with your friends, right? Or if you want to go to brunch or whatever, people do feel other spaces, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to literally be glued to each other 24/7 all of the time. Um, you know, because for some people that just is not possible.
Can I redefine the bouquet a little bit?
Go ahead, please.
I think another way for me of saying when you say what is it that people really want or need in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
I mean there's so many ways to answer that question. There's not really not a and there's not a one size fits all for one, and for two there are different ways to make emphasis. But today, because I answer that question often quite differently by the day, I think the first thing people really want is dignity, a basic sense of respect, of being valued, of being recognized, of being seen. And these needs have become more intense in the romantic relationship because, as you say, people often lose their friendships, lose their other affiliations, and so there becomes this one person who, if you look at me in the eyes, I know I exist, and you're going to relieve me of my fundamental existential aloneness. I mean, this is, I think, problematic. But what people want is a sense of agency and power, that I can affect change. I have some sense of control over what goes on in. I want a sense of trust that I can count on you and vice versa, and that we are in this together. And I want a sense of recognition and validation of my integrity, that who I am matters.
Yeah.
And this comes from the work of Howard Markman, and I think it still stands today as to me. Now, how that expresses itself is different in each one, you know,
Right.
different ways for people to feel that sense of agency, that sense of value, and that sense of trust.
Right.
But I would say that that is the trifecta of what people look for in a romantic relationship, in a love relationship, and put it that way. And a love relationship can exist also with a friend, you know, and also in the family. It's not just in the romantic sphere. We these days are privileging the romantic relationship as the one and be all.
No, no, and I love that, and I think that's, I think that to me is a great point because as you shared, you can find that in many different things, and it's very crippling for one individual to have to be that, right, to create your identity, to create your satisfaction, to give you dignity, to give you all those things.
Right.
And so my question to you, Esther, is that if you were to say the biggest expectation difference between women of today versus women of the 20th century, in your personal opinion, from your research and practice, what would you say is the biggest expectation difference between women today and women then?
Good question.
I think it is the freedom, the agency to be able to enter and to leave relationships. Um, there was no exit.
No.
Until I remember as a teenager still when you couldn't go to get your money from your bank account without your husband accompanying you. It's like, whatever I do, I sometimes think about my mother or my grandmother. My mother worked her whole life, but my grandmother also worked her whole life, but a very different kind of work. There were 9 children, we were 2 children. That already redefines it. It's a sense of ownership over one's means, over one's resources, over a certain kind of ownership over reproductive health, over our relationships. It is really fundamentally power. But in the good sense, not power over, but power to, a generative sense of power that is more direct. It's not that women didn't have power historically, but it always was indirect. It always had to be hidden. It couldn't just be in the public sphere because on top of it, she was relegated to the home. So it's a kind of a flexibility together with other women and their male counterpart to negotiate the private and the public spheres. You have amazing questions that can't be necessarily.
And the thing about the power, the newfound power, it has affected the relationship part in majority in a negative way, for sure. Because of the fact that, as we know, with this newfound power, there comes all these new, uh, expectations from their spouse with, the money, or, what can you provide for me because I can do everything by myself. So in a big sense, it's affecting the relationship portion of women's lives in a negative way because of the fact that they are putting their more expectation on top of the emotional aspect of what they're expecting from you, the love, the care, you have to be here and help me be the best version of myself. And now they're putting finances onto that. And a lot of people cannot create the criteria of what the women have put in front of them. So it's actually affecting the power. I feel is affecting the relationship portion in a negative way when you look at the vast majority of women.
Answered one way. It's like I go in a direction, but then I think I could answer this. There's many ways to say what is the big difference of what women want today versus what they had. I think that a sexuality that isn't just a woman's marital duty, where nobody's ever wondered if she wants it, if she likes it, that has now become a sexuality that is rooted in desire, is of course a positive shift, because I'm part of a generation that values that positive shift. But it is a shift that has its own complications. I don't think that there is a good past and a bad present, or a bad past and a much better present. Things evolve, and they always come with a price, and they come with new opportunities and new options.
No, I love that, and for those who are watching,
certainly don't want to go back. Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't want to go back, but I can imagine that some people would appreciate something about the stability or the fantasy of stability that existed before, and say the present is chaotic and women have it so much. They used to know where they stood. Yes, and where they stood isn't necessarily where they wanted to be. Afis, many things that I hear from women, I hear from men, and I hear from people who are queer. So it's not so neatly packaged as what does woman say and what does man say. I think that there are certain voices in the realm of relationships. Romantic agonies are in some way have new facets. Mm-hmm. If I choose, this is really the work of Eva Illouz a lot, a wonderful sociologist who looked at, when you used to choose people because of which family they belong to and what kind of land they own and what kind of combinations of the lands, then if you were rejected, you were not rejected just because of who you are. You were rejected because maybe your family didn't have enough money and maybe it wasn't a good arrangement. But now, in the realm of authenticity that we live in, mm-hmm. I am chosen at my most authentic.
I'm chosen at my most authentic. I think this was a great conversation. It's obvious that she is obviously somebody that is more liberal. And I think her answers as to the main differences between women back then and now, is quite interesting. And I would love to hear somebody else that's kind of from her generation, that's like a little bit more traditional, and what their opinion would be. But let me know if you guys like this video. Of course, make sure you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. You can just go ahead and hit that notification bell. I do post a video every single day. If you hit the notification bell, it's going to send a notification to you wherever you watch YouTube, and it's going to let you know that Rivah has a new video uploaded. And also, in my last video, I feel like I said I'll see you guys tomorrow, but I actually had some technical difficulties when posting, so that was actually supposed to be uploaded last night, so that's why I said that. And you guys know, sometimes I give you, one video a day, 2 videos a day. You never know. Just hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH_JORDON. And I will see you guys in the next video. Love you.